Okay, I guess it's about 7 o'clock. We'll call the monthly meeting of the Roxbury Town Board to order at 7 p.m., February 14th, 2022. We start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as a first order of business, before we get started tonight, I sent an email around from the county to everyone concerning the mask mandates. As we're all aware, recently the state has made mask mandates optional for people. I sent you guys a request to determine if you're okay with doing that with the town hall for masks and social distancing to be optional. I guess we should probably do it as a resolution since we had a resolution before. I'd like to have a resolution from the board to say that instead of having masks required, masks would be optional within the town hall. Request to speak for Mike Harrington. He actually provided us with a report. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. Got that one, didn't we? We need a resolution to accept the minutes from the last meeting or any changes or corrections that anybody may have.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Diane. Okay, next thing, request to speak, as I started to say. Mike Harrington has sent us a report for the month. If you would like to, if anybody has any questions, I do have a couple of things I want to go over on that. We've all gotten a request for Evergreen Construction for an increase in the contract based on additional costs for piping costs that have changed, and this has been a pretty common thing with a lot of contracts. We have a resolution down there before, but I just want to make sure anybody has any questions about that. Secondly, Mike and I discussed the Viga Mountain Road project as part of the water, as far as replacing a portion of the line from the reservoir to Viga Mountain Road. And what I would like to do is have the water committee, myself, possibly meet with Mike Harrington to discuss that in more detail, so we can come up with some. There was about 3 options that they came up with after talking with the homeowners and things like that. I think other than the rest of it, Mike's report is pretty straightforward, unless anybody has any questions.
How much was that that Evergreen needed for the pipe?
It was an additional, I think it's 39,000.
39,000.
Yeah, 39 something.
39.
What it mainly was, if you recall, they had all of that 24-inch pipe that they had to put in for contact time up there that's all buried in front of the building. And just the increase in cost on that alone, because that's all PVC pipe, but it's a heavy wall PVC, was basically the full amount of that increase that they were looking for. So, and it's up to you guys if you want to further discuss it. We can certainly table it and discuss it further if anybody has any questions about it.
Well, I can see them not wanting to take the full burden, but I don't know why we should either. It was good.
Yeah, it's additional increase. I mean, we can certainly go back and discuss it more with them. I just wanted to put it out there and see what
There's
their
3
thoughts are.
ways there.
Yeah,
That's a big difference too,
Yeah.
offering the bid price.
yeah, it's a lot. I agree. So I can, if you'd like, we can try to get together with Evergreen and discuss it a little further before we pass the resolution and agree to it.
Yeah, I agree with that. They could eat a little bit of it, I think.
Mike
Yeah,
came
I
up.
don't have a problem,
Right.
splitting or something,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
it's just that, I mean, we've already gone through the procedure and the bid.
Yeah, well, the bid is all set, and this was a request. I know it's pretty common. It's been coming
Yeah,
up a lot
yeah,
on
yeah.
different projects around, and So, but I agree, and if that's what the board would
Yeah.
like to do, we'll certainly go back and talk to them about it, so.
Because it does sound like their emails they started last May discussing this.
Yeah, well,
And then we don't
it's
hear about it until
something,
December.
it's something that came up earlier in the year when they first started putting the pipe in, and then we just,
Back to May, June, April.
yeah, so they've had plenty of time.
Yeah.
But I know. So. Another question that I discussed with Mike, right now, they have a pad poured for the, they're requiring 2,000 gallon propane tanks for the generator and heat in the building. Main Care has come back and said that, and I don't totally understand it, but something to do with the fact that those propane tanks are gonna be above ground. They need to either be buried or they need to be more tanks because of the volume change with the temperature. And again, I'm not an engineer, so I don't totally understand what that is, but I have been questioning it, and I'm not so sure that they agree with their option. Problem is, if we bury those tanks, because it's so wet there, we're gonna end up having to put anchoring in the bottom of them to bury them. So I discussed with Mike today that we may want to get a second opinion on this
I think it's a good idea.
before we
Yeah.
commit to saying that we're gonna go to that extra cost of the project. Because it is gonna be a lot of extra cost. So,
I agree.
I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I think that
Yeah, we
may
should
be
look
something
into it.
else that we'll,
Yeah.
again, rethink or talk about, at least get some more information on before we make a decision. Anybody have anything else, with Mike's report? One thing I should mention, we did get one easement back for the line extension to connect Roosevelt Avenue and Lake Street. We're still waiting on the other easement, which it should come in pretty soon, but I had asked him, I'd like to see that bid as a separate bid than whatever we do with the Vega Mountain Road, because it's gonna be a much smaller project. It might make it easier for some of the local contractors to bid on it, rather than trying to lump it in with a much bigger project, so.
Yep.
And that's something we can probably get started on fairly soon, and hopefully get that going earlier this year. It's gonna make a big difference in the operation of when we've had leaks and problems over on Lake Street, because we can backfeed water the other way, so we're not shutting everybody off every time some of that
Oh, it's a good idea.
that transite pipe that's out through there seems to be problematic, and every time we have a problem with it, we end up having to kill all the water back there to get it fixed. So I think this will make a better situation. All right, got that one addressed. While we're on the water and sewer, Chris, I see you're on there. Do you want to give us a report on where things are going? See if there's any questions for the board?
Yeah, I have a couple things. This kind of piggybacks on the Denver project. Those roads are now built. There's some minor grading that has to be done in the spring, but they need to be plowed. We're gonna have to figure out how to plow, who's gonna plow them, whether we send them out for a bid or whether the town takes over that. But I've got Titan coming there Thursday to come and check the wellheads for a bad check valve, and that's going to have to be plowed before they can get in there.
I think I emailed you back. Is this something, I think I don't know if I sent you the email, Bill?
I got the
Yes, you
Yeah,
did.
I thought I forwarded you the email. Is this something that they're gonna need to keep plowed regularly, or is it only when they need to get access in there?
Well, I need to check it periodically, more than once a month. There's a pellet chlorinator on wellhead 5 that I have to get in and check every 2 weeks to make sure it's applying pellets.
Is that something you can take care of, Bill, or do you want us to look at putting that out to
Well,
bid?
we could talk about it, but as of right now, I don't know how much I'm gonna plow it. It's probably surely all pure ice. I mean, we could sand it and do the best we can, but with a truck, I'm not gonna be able to do much with it now.
Yeah, I know it's all ice now, but if we get more snow, that's why I'm wondering if you can at least get some sand on it so they can get in.
Yeah, we could definitely get some sand on it and do what we can so Titan could get in there whenever they're coming. And then if we could talk about what we wanna do in the future.
You hear that, Chris?
Yeah, I'm fine with, just Titan wants to come there Thursday to
Okay.
try and button this up to get our wellheads checked.
Of course, the weather's
And,
gonna be a little warmer too, Wednesday and Thursday
Yeah,
might
it's
help
gonna
us.
warm up a
Might
lot,
help,
so it'll be
yeah.
easier.
But as
Like
far
you
as
said,
plowing
not-
right now, I'm not gonna be able to do anything without a.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
But I
not-
just, in my humble opinion, if we built the roads, you built the roads for a reason, to get us in and out of there. And I can't do that if I can't get in and out because it's not plowed either, so.
Yeah, I was questioning whether it's something you need to get into every day or if it's only when you have a problem with the wells, but I didn't realize you had a chlorinator in there as well.
Yeah, on wellhead 5.
All right, well, we'll look into it, we'll work on it, but we'll try to get you access for Thursday anyway.
Okay. I mean, other than that, we're running pretty good. That leak that we fixed at the Grand Works Civic Center driveway has reduced our flow by 35,000 gallons a day.
Wow.
So that's good. I mean, that's less chemical where you're going to be using, and so that's going to be a good help. We finally found that leak, so.
Okay, good. Kobe, did you?
Oh,
have
the other
anything?
thing I wanted to ask about was, I don't know if Kevin is on tonight about the New York World Water class action lawsuit to recoup some of the money for testing for the PFOS tests that were surprises this year. It turned out to be $6,000 that was not budgeted for. And Kevin wrote back and said that it wasn't a good idea, but I just don't know why. He never explained why it wasn't a good idea to go ahead with that.
I don't see Kevin on here, but I do see Lindsay, you're on here, so if you want to speak up, if you have anything to say about it.
Hi, yes, Kevin is not able to attend tonight, but I can take this question back to him. He's the resident expert on this issue. I can touch base with him and circle back to you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Other than that, that's all I have for the water side.
Okay, Kobe, I see you're on there. Did you have anything for us? I know we had a couple things you and I've talked about this week. If you want to kind of go over what you're looking at.
Yep. So, do you want to go over the generator part?
Sure.
Okay. So for the generators, they haven't gotten back to me either, Kinsley. So I don't know where you want to go with that. With the air compressor at Denver Sewer, they didn't send me a more detailed quote for that. But since it is in the micro building, it is, all covered by DEP. When I talked to them over the phone verbally about it, they said they'd scope the tank and check the integrity of the whole air compressor to make sure it's more or less safe to be around. So I don't know if you want that in writing from them before you approve it, or.
Well, as I told you over the phone, I was just curious what the I know the biggest part of the cost is their travel time and their labor, but I just was curious what the actual work they were doing on the compressor. I mean, if it's necessary and needed, then it's a good idea. And it sounds like it's not something you guys can handle internally, correct?
Yeah, no, because they have to take off like the motor and like actually scope the inside of the air compressor tank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maverick, you're pretty well versed on compressors. You understand what they're.
Yeah, I understand what they gotta do,
Okay.
what they have done or what they need to do.
You're okay with it then?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
All right. Another thing was with HC2 at Hubble's Corners. Is that now or?
Yeah. Just go over what we're talking about there, and we can. We'll
Yeah.
pass it, we'll look at it at the resolutions later on, but while you're on here, we can talk about it now if you've got any comments or need anything from us.
Okay, so basically, like I was talking to Chris about it, and he said HC2 that kind of fails a lot, and within the first week of this year, it did break down, and we had some issues with it. So I asked JB's to put together a quote to kind of do a full upgrade between the panel and new pumps for that station, so we could prevent that from breaking down in the future. That's pretty much all that was.
That's also covered under the O&M for the septic, right? For this Roxbury sewer.
That I have no idea. I don't know where the OEM agreement is.
Okay.
Yep.
It's the $11,000 one. I believe that's the one Tom Stalter came back with and said that we could use contingencies on these.
No, this was the other one, the HC1 sewer pump.
No, HC2.
HC2.
Yeah, HC2 is the one on Maple Lane.
Oh, okay. You also had something in here about HC1, which is on.
I believe HC1, we just ordered a new pump, a backup pump.
Okay.
So he's talking about the $1,750.
Right, I think so.
That's HC.
Oh, that was for a potential service at HC1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'll go back to air compressor. How big is that air compressor?
Kobe Macker was just asking, how big is that air compressor? How many CFM or whatever? Is that big?
It's a 1,000-gallon tank. Yeah.
1,000-gallon tank. And that's for the plant operation, so that's all covered under their O&M anyway. So. Okay, any questions for Chris or Kobe while we're on? What's that? Okay. Next one, planning board. Did we have anything concerning the planning board tonight?
They canceled their meeting for Wednesday because they had no agenda.
No agenda? Okay. Okay, under building and grounds, not too much to report other than the town hall is coming along really well. Steve Kamer's been up there with his crew for the last month and a half almost, and they've done a lot of the work. They've got a few things yet to do, but they're coming along really well with it. I did give you guys a proposal for both upgrading the security system that's up there, which was in place previously. I just had Country Home Security give us a quote on checking out the sensors and putting in a new keep handling some of that stuff to upgrade it. There's also a quote in there. We talked about it a little bit, but we didn't really make a decision on cameras in the building. I had them give me a quote on a couple cameras inside plus one hitting the parking lot just for security purposes. And it would be kind of similar to the one we put at the transfer station. So I think it'd be a 4-camera unit. We probably would only need 3 cameras, but it comes, I think the setup comes with 4 cameras. So again, it doesn't have to be decided right now. That's down the road a little ways, but I just wanted to make you guys aware of it. So you're aware what we're doing with that. Other than that, the other part of the puzzle is going to be, and I'm still working on trying to get some quotes, is going to be a computer server upgrade and things like that we're going to need in the building when we get up there, and the PA system, which I think some of that stuff can be covered through the COVID money along with what we're doing because of the Zoom purposes and all that. So I think it will work out that we can do it without having to make any budget changes. So heads up on that. Other than that, I don't know too much on buildings. Ed, do you have anything? I know, well, I guess we should talk about the boiler things that we've had.
Yeah, I know, I talked to Diane a little bit, the guy showed up. Guess things haven't been done lately.
Yeah, so, I don't know if it's
I thought
COVID or
they
what,
just
but
came around every year.
maybe he, because of COVID, didn't show last year, but we've got a couple things to do. One at the Civic Center, we've got to change a valve, I guess, or
Alright.
change a pressure valve or something, and then the boiler at the highway garage hasn't been inspected in a few years, and we've got that lined up now with, would you say it was Hartford steam boiler?
Wednesday, 16th.
They were coming in to do that, so. The only other thing I know of on building and grounds, and I've asked Steve Cameron to take a look at it, which I don't think he's done yet, is we do have a small leak in this building, right here by the doorway, that we've got to get fixed at some point. Looks like it's coming around the sewer vent pipe, but Diane and Stephanie are dealing with a bucket right now, but we do have to get it fixed, so. Has anybody else got anything for me, building grounds wise, that we missed?
How'd we ever make out with that leak that was behind the Civic Center?
I ain't never heard any more from
Okay.
them. We met with them and went over and we voiced our opinion and I don't, must be they agreed with it.
Yeah, well, we looked into the deeds and everything else, and it turns out we don't, it's not really our responsibility. It's
Froze up.
the Western Cats.
Yeah, now don't bother.
Might be a problem in the spring again, but right now it's not a problem,
Yeah.
so. Okay, with nothing else for building and grounds, we'll move on to highway. Bill?
Not really too much to report. Everything's going pretty good. With all the storms we're having, everything's holding together pretty well. I see some resolutions on here. Usually we get the agreement for expenditures for highway monies. I haven't received anything on that yet, so I really don't have anything on that. While back I talked to Allison, Phillips, and Lindsay about Depot Street and Road. I see that as a resolution on there. I haven't heard anything back from Allison on that. That was along with Hosier Road abandonment a few months ago. Other than that, I do have a question, Al. I don't know if it's time to bring it up. I know Kurt Flax is retiring. Do we have, as a town, anybody in line to
Not
take
yet.
his spot?
That's something we're gonna have to work on.
Yeah.
I mean, Kurt's here through next September, so
Right.
it's not something we have to deal with right away, but yeah, we are gonna need to get somebody
I wasn't sure if we had
for this
anybody in
building and
mind.
for the highway garage, so.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, like I said, nothing on Depot Street resolution or the agreement for expenditures of highway monies yet, so.
Well, you guys have been doing a great job. You did a good job of dealing with the graded ice adventure we had here the last couple of weeks, so. Keep up the good work.
Sure, but I think we did.
Everything's holding together pretty well. And
Yeah.
The new guys are all working
Minor
out.
issues, but
Yeah.
we've been taking care of them.
Good. New guys are all working out good.
Yeah, yep.
Good.
Some learning yet, but yet they're doing good, real good
Well, as I said,
for what we.
go ahead, Mike.
I just had a quick question related, maybe I just out of the loop. Whatever happened with those speed indicator signs? I lost track of them.
It's funny you ask. We're still going forward. Bill and I talked about this a while ago. Actually, I got an email today from the one company that's been the most receptive to this. I think we probably are ready to look at doing something pretty early in the spring as soon as we can get the ground going. You had said you were going to help me maybe work with the state on locations and stuff.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
See if we can get it figured out.
I figured they'd wait till spring because
Yeah, it's not much we can do right
several,
now.
Right.
most of them you're going to plant in concrete.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna have to do some concrete work for the base. I'm not sure, I haven't really talked to you about it much as far as what comes,
You talked
the
about one.
posts come, I mean, that's something we'll
You
talk
talked about
about.
one trailer mounted one or a mobile one.
Yeah, well, actually, I think we're looking right now at permanent locations, both in Grand Gorge and Roxbury, if we do them. We would do them all permanent locations.
Okay.
Trailer may be an idea for down the road if we need it in certain places, but that's what we've looked at. It does appear that that can be done through the COVID funding as well. So that's probably where we would look at doing that. So.
Alan, are you talking about speed limit signs?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was going to ask about those, how those were coming.
Yeah, actually, I got an email just a couple of days ago from the one sales rep. This is the same company that did the ones both in Stamford and Davenport, and I know that they're approvable by New York State DOT. So that's because these are all state roads, we have to get them approved through the DOT, with the exception of the one here on 41. So, but yes, that's in the works still. Anybody else have anything for Bill? If not, I guess we'll move on to Stephanie. You had a big list earlier today.
So, okay, so everybody knows that, for 2021, our level of assessment is 90%. And, this time every year, we chat with the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance, Office of Real Property Tax Services, to discuss the sales ratios for the coming assessment roll, and our level of assessment will be 81% for 2022. So, considering the state of the real estate market and the aggressive real estate market that we've had for the past 12 months, we're happy that it didn't go below 81%. As the board knows, we did commit to a cyclical plan of reassessment, which means that we will be conducting a townwide revaluation in 2023. We'll actually start work on that model in the coming months. So what does that mean? That net to everybody and to their wallets is that we will get back to 100% of value, meaning we will once again have a fair and equitable assessment roll, okay? Which is in everybody's best interest. It's no surprise that Roxbury is not the only town that has been impacted by this surge in housing prices and vacant land prices. So commensurately, it's pretty much rippled across not only the state, but obviously Delaware County. Any questions about that? Okay. Governor has introduced a proposed homeowner tax rebate credit. You can read about that on her website and also in my report. So basically, if it's passed in the final budget, and this is not star credits. This is actually a homeowner tax rebate credit for those with incomes below $250,000. And if it passes, then credit checks, again, these are not star checks, these are credit checks for tax rebates, will be issued in fall of 2022, and they'll be computed by the state at a percentage of the homeowner's existing star benefit. So anybody that's a star credit recipient or a star exemption recipient is eligible for that credit. But again, it has not been passed. It's still in the proposal stage. And then the next relief is the property tax relief credit, which was enacted in 2021. It's not the same as the other one. The credit's actually an income tax credit that people can claim on their 2021 tax return if they're eligible. And basically what that credit does is that reduces one's tax liability or increases their refund. Pretty complicated stuff. Go to tax.ny.gov where the governor writes all about it. Okay. We reported one structure done without a permit, and I didn't put this in my report, Alan. I mentioned it to Alan earlier. we would like the board to appoint, Professor Luzin appointing Joe Resch of Grand Gorge to our Board of Assessment Review to fill a vacancy made by the passing of Jay Gula.
That's in the resolutions for later on.
Right.
Anybody have anything for Stephanie?
Yeah, one thing, like, I know that you found a lot of additions and stuff, so like when you do the revalve, you can catch them there?
Actually, we don't, for things like, that's a great question, Ed. So Ed's question is, how, like, when we catch, when we find, I don't like to use the word catch, when we find things that people have done without permits, whether they put in an addition or a pool or whatever it happens to be, we don't have to wait for a reval to do that. That's actually an inventory change, and the law permits us to update our assessments when we update inventory. So that's a correction. So other than that, we cannot make assessment changes unless they're corrections based on an inventory correction.
I know you were saying like with the assessor or the building inspector can't really, you gotta have him.
Well, that's for people, see, I can still, if I can go out and find it, I can still assess it. They may not have a permit for it, and they don't have a CO or a CC for it, which could be a problem for them down the line, but the law allows the assessor to adjust the assessment based on physical inventory. So, but selling that property and getting a proper CO or a CC for it could be a little tricky.
Anything else for Stephanie? Okay. Moving on. We received a report from our building inspector for the last month. Been pretty quiet. There's not a whole lot going on right now. A few things. A lot of CO type searches and things. Anybody's got any questions, get them to me and I'll get them to Tom. He was in here this last Friday. I know he's got a family medical issue, so he's been tied up a lot, but he's trying to be here as much as he can, but he is available if anybody has any questions or needs anything. So. Okay, moving on. Kirkside. Denise, you're here?
Yeah. So I had sent you guys a few things that we need to have some answers to. The first one being the Wi-Fi, how we had a request to password protect, just because I guess it's attracting a lot of people over there to just go use Wi-Fi that we may not necessarily want there. So when I called MTC to password protect, I was not authorized to do so because, like, I'm not, But then I think they said you might let that go or something when I called them.
Well, there's a couple things there. I spoke with MTC. Their suggestion was either put a password on the Wi-Fi or turn it off.
Right.
The problem with turning it off is it's needed to run the cameras and
right.
other things that we do there. So I think the best option is just to put a password on it.
Yeah.
And then
so
if we choose down the line that we want to open it back up, the reason we opened it up with no password, at least my understanding of the reason, was because of COVID. We were trying to find a place where people that didn't have good internet access could be able to go there.
If I can jump in, Alan, that's exactly the reason why we opened it up. It used to be password protected.
Yes.
But during COVID, there was a big push for community hotspots. And so that's why that was opened up. So the solution is rather simple, is to just password protect it again and move on.
So that's the plan, unless anybody has any other issues with it.
But I think we're going to need to password protect it or change the password frequently. Because some, maybe in the fall and spring, change it again because people are going to get that and we might have the same issues going on now.
Yeah, we can do that. We can set up change it regularly, or as I said, it may turn out that during the summer months when people are using it more often, we can make it open, and then maybe during the other months when the place is closed, turn it to a password again. I mean, it's just a matter of changing it in the camera setup. It's not a big deal to change it from.
Yeah. Well, I had called the Country Home Security as well, and they do have to be involved in that, like.
Yeah, they have to
do-
go in
So,
change the camera program.
so it's
to
a
do
little
it.
bit cumbersome,
Yeah.
but yeah, so like when I call MTC, could I be authorized to talk to them about that account, or would I not? I mean, like, would you be able to give that permission so that when I do call? You know, if
Yeah, I can,
if
or they
need
can
it
just
changed
call
or
me.
what-
I'm
Okay.
familiar enough with what they're doing. They can just call me
Okay.
too if it's.
Alan,
Yeah.
Alan, I'm sorry, I'm jumping in again. Considering that Denise is going to be dealing with the password changes and things like that, wouldn't it behoove the town to give her permission to access that
Yeah,
as part of MTC? So maybe just that phone call to authorize Denise to make those changes would be beneficial.
I have no problem with that. If the board's
I'm
okay
good
with
with
that,
that.
that's fine. Yeah,
Fine.
if it's easier that way, that's fine with me.
Well, of course, you're,
Yeah,
you know,
no,
other
that's
people are too, but it just might be
Yeah.
if I have to call them.
I'm dealing with them with a lot of stuff with the town hall right now anyway, the new town hall, but sure, absolutely, you can talk with them directly if you want.
Okay, so, the other thing was, in getting ready for our new season, well, we had the tree come down during the ice storm. The tree was very rotten, and I'm afraid that we have a lot of rotten trees. And I think the flooding in that field is not helping matters. So, before we can kind of open a new season and feel good about planning an event, I just want to know where we stand with the water because it's really gotten bad. So,
Well, that's a good question, where we stand with the water. I was told this fall that we were gonna get a permit to do it, and the DEC shut us down. Said they would not allow a permit this fall to go in and make the changes that we needed to get it fixed. So we were kind of back to drawing board one, which means we're gonna have to reapply in the spring. And it's anybody's guess how long it's gonna take for them to let us go in there and do that work.
I think there was something with that denial that it was somewhere around April or something like that, right?
They're gonna look at it again in April when the weather.
so are they automatically looking at it, or is there something that we need
Well,
to make sure we're doing?
We gotta make sure we're after them about it. I've already been in contact with the Soil and Water Conservation, which is where this permit is coming through.
So, I'm sorry, I know I'm being a pain in the neck, but this has been going on for a decade, almost 12
Yes, it
years.
has. Yes, it
So,
has.
so knowing that we can only get in the river between June 15th and September 15th, I think that it's important. And again, if Denise is the park director, give her the contact to Soil and Water. Alan, your plate is full right now.
Well, it's
So
not
we
a
don't,
problem.
No,
Peg, it's not a question of the contact, and it's not a question of my plate being full.
can I finish what I was saying?
Sure.
And, so there's no reason why that application for permit can't happen in February or March. Let's get on their docket sooner rather than later, or we'll be sitting here for another summer with a flooded field.
I think, Peg, that it's already on the permit is there, it's just on hold. Excuse me, I'm not sure that we need to totally reapply. The engineering work has been all done. We can get on it as soon as anybody wants to. I think Soil and Water Conservation is gonna tell us we're gonna have to wait till April before we can even do anything with it, but by all means, if you folks that are involved with the park would like to, jump on it, go for it.
I'm sorry, Alan, I don't mean to,
That's
but I think that it's,
There's a little more to this situation in the park, Peg, than just. going
I
in there.
understand, Alan, I was
Very
part of it.
complicated situation to do.
I understand. It's not any place that I haven't been before.
It's a little more than saying, yes, we can go in there and do it. There's bidding, there's all sorts of other stuff that's gonna have to be done.
I understand. I
We can't do
understand.
that until we have a permit.
I understand, but it doesn't
Right.
mean that we can't start checking boxes before we're stuck in July again. And
I
then
know.
before we know it, it's September 15th and we can't get in there.
I don't like
So-
it any better than anybody else, but yes.
In for, can I jump in for a second?
No.
So I'm just questioning this. This may not have any ground, but I remember when Mark Hammer would go in. I'm sorry, I heard something. Am I okay to talk?
Go ahead, Riley.
Okay, I'm sorry. I remember when Mark Hammer used to go down and dig out certain areas along the bank when you would look up towards, the pathways and whatnot, just to dig it out to be able to help with the flow of water.
I do not have any ground on this. I don't know if that's how anything works.
Well,
But
unfortunately, that's not how it works when you're in a wetland. And unfortunately, that whole area is considered wetland, and it also is considered historic area, which adds
Right.
another little twist to it. So,
The groundwork's already been laid out. It was laid out before COVID
yes,
and engineered before COVID hit.
the design is all in place. It's just a question of getting the DEC to let us do it. There's no design needed. What we need is we need permission from the state to let us go in there and build it.
okay. Well, no, and my biggest thing is I remember just talking to certain people that would go in and do it out of like a community type base that was, but okay.
So let me just do a little backstory here. So what Mark used to do is the river, the tributary coming down off the Hardscrabble wants to take its natural course, which is at the base of the hill going up to the rail bed. And that's where the drainage pipes underneath that were installed by Helen Gould existed and used to run into that swale. And Mark used to dig out the swale. Now, when we started the park restoration in '99, we were able to get a DEC permit, not only to dredge, but to have Cowan in there to do the stream bank wall. And it was renewed again in 2005 when Doug Cronk did a portion of the stream bank wall. I was out there with fisheries in the very beginning of this issue of it scouring up on the north end of the park. So Alan, town board, I totally understand. I'm just saying that because COVID took everyone offline for a couple of years, now's our, remember that line is going to be twice as long for DEC permits. So if we don't stay on this, we're going to be stuck with another season of a flooded park. That's all I'm saying. I'm not calling anyone out on this. I think that we really need to pay attention. And Denise, I'm happy to work with you as the park director to get this done because it's, like I said, it's been over a decade. I know it's engineered. I know we can get the permit. So I just want to make sure we all as a community stay on task to dry that park out.
I just want to say I apologize for saying anything. I'm going on what I remember when I was younger and going into it, which I know regulations and things have come up different. So I apologize. I just remember going down with Mark and certain things. So I apologize.
I think one of the problems is, and Peg, I don't know if you're aware of this or not either. I think one of the problems is there are a lot of new faces at the DEC, especially in Stamford. And a lot of the people that were involved in this initially are not there anymore. And every time that happens, somebody else puts new eyes on it and more questions get asked. And we ran into this last fall. And that's not going to change. And all we can do, I agree with you, the sooner we can get it started, the better. But I'm just not sure what's going to be the best option to do it. We will work whatever angle we can figure out that makes the best way to go.
You're absolutely right, Alan.
It is a problem, and it's an issue that we've got to deal with, and I'm fully aware of that, and I believe the rest of the board is, without speaking for them. But it's something that has become a much bigger issue than it used to be, put it that way, I guess is the best thing to say. So with that, let's move on. Actually, Peg, you're up next anyway, you and Katie, so. Oh, I'm sorry, Denise.
Denise, are you done?
I'm sorry, Denise, I thought we were done.
So the other bullet point that needs, the fireworks extra fee, is everyone okay with that? With the transportation cost?
Yep.
Okay, so I can go ahead and tell them that. And then the resolution for the kitchen contract finally. Okay. Yeah, I think that's first.
So if you're all set, Denise, anybody have any questions for her? With that being said, Peg and Katie, I know you've got some stuff to talk about with community resources and grant stuff that we've got going on, so I'll open it up to the two of you, however order you want to go in.
Do you mind if I jump in, Peg? I got to get the girls to bed.
No, go ahead. Go right ahead.
So a quick update on the Roxbury Main Street program. We submitted the grant agreement with our signature and the documents that they needed along with that. So we're just waiting for them to return a copy with their signature on it before we can start the program. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of how it works. So we can't do any outreach until we have that executed contract in place. Once we have the contract, we'll start doing some outreach. We'll put together a project steering committee. That committee will be up to 5 people, made up of independent community members that will look at the applications from the building owners of commercial and mixed use buildings. They'll score them and rank them for funding. Once we have the project steering committee in place, we'll hold a public information meeting where we're going to explain the process, the grant requirements, the matching fund requirements, and distribute the applications to eligible building owners in the target district. There will be an application deadline. That date is still to be determined based on when we get the executed contract back. And applications have to include proof of building, insurance, proof of owner matching funds, and a copy of the deed. So once we have the applications, we'll be meeting with the project steering committee where the applications will be scored and prioritized based on a scoring rubric that Mark has developed. That scoring rubric includes things like visual impact. Is there an active business in the building? Will this funding lead to an active business or a business expansion? Will there be job creation? Does the building owner have the required matching funds in place? Once the building owners are approved for participation in the program, there'll be a contract between them and Mark Project. There'll be an environmental review, which is completed by Mark Project and an environmental specialist. And once that environmental review is approved by New York Main Street, site visits are scheduled with our building rehab specialist and the building owner or the tenant to discuss the work that they want to be included in the program. All work does have to go to the State Historic Preservation Office and the Roxbury Preservation Commission for their review and approval. And once the final work scope is developed and approved by the building owner, SHPO, and the Preservation Commission, then it'll go out to bid. When the responsive bid is awarded, a contract will be signed between Mark, the building owner, and the contractor. And the work will be scheduled, preliminary testing completed, and then the work can begin. During the work, there'll be site inspections and lead testing done by the Mark Rehab Specialist. And at the end, a final lead clearance would be mandatory before closing out the project. And the building owner will need to approve all the work in accordance with the building rehab specialist inspections. And there is a 5-year property maintenance declaration that's signed by the building owner upon completion of construction. So it's kind of a rundown of the program start to finish. There is also a streetscape component that starts when the building construction is approaching 90% completion. That has to be the last money in the program. And we'll work on a separate project steering committee to determine what will be included through that. So that's it in a nutshell. So we will have more information at the public information session. And once we have the executed contract, we'll be putting out a press release with that date.
How long do you expect before we'll get the contract back from the state?
I would say within the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Anybody have any questions concerning that grant project? Okay. Thank you, Katie.
I should also add, if anybody is interested in serving on the project steering committee, let us know.
Okay. Anybody have anything else for Katie?
Don't look at me.
Okay, I guess we're back to you, Peg.
Sorry. Come on, smile. Happy Valentine's Day.
Right.
That didn't sound very nice.
That's why we're trying to get this meeting done quickly.
I'm going. So we have put out an RFP for website redesign. We received grant funding from O'Connor, which is being matched by the town, $5,000 to $5,000. Mike Hines and Alan Hinckley and I have been on the committee. We interviewed 3 firms that fell within the budget and have decided on David Rainbird Design. I ask that the town board approve that we go ahead and hire. And Lindsay, I sent you an email. I didn't have time to follow up with the phone call, but his proposal can in essence serve as a contract, or maybe you can send us something.
Didn't we
And the-
approve this last month, Peg?
Yes.
I thought
The
we-
town board needs to authorize Alan to sign the contract.
Okay,
Okay?
I thought we did that, but okay.
But I also I want to post a survey on the website for the community to answer and respond to with regards to what they want to see on the new website, and a call for volunteers, 3 people to serve on the committee as we redevelop the town of Roxbury website. Blessings.
Sounds good to me. Anybody else have a problem with that?
The driveway at Kirkside. So this has been an ongoing thing. Where do we stand? Just for historic analysis for the general public, Kirkside, the building gave the town a right-of-way access down the driveway to access the park. The park includes the dollhouse and the 2 barns, and Kirkside, AKA now the Mark Project, has been paying for the plowing of the entire driveway and out to the barns. So I think it's quite obvious that that's not necessarily an equitable approach. And I just want to know what the town board thinks is a viable solution.
I think we discussed it, we were gonna pay half, I thought, or,
We've talked about that.
right?
Yep.
I thought that was what the thought was.
Did you hear that, Peg?
I didn't, I'm sorry, it's really hard to hear.
Mike was saying that, we discussed previously about the town paying for half of it and Kirkside paying for the other half.
And so how will that work? Should Nikki send us the bills and you reimburse us? Or should he send the town the bills and we pay our half through the town? How would that work?
I think probably the easiest, and Diane just stepped out for a minute, but I think the easiest probably is going to be to have Nick send us each, send a bill separately to the town and to Mark for their portions.
And what happens to the bills from the prior years?
Mark, take care of it.
I don't know that we can do much about that at this point, but
So is there an opportunity for a conversation, since we paid 2 winters, 21 and 20, we're now in 22, we paid 2 winters. Is there an opportunity for the town to pay the 22 winter bills? And then we start splitting it next year until the project is developed?
acceptable to you guys? Doesn't
I don't
matter.
know about that. It's,
As I said,
that's kind of out of the budget range too.
I can't hear you, Macker.
I'm mumbling to myself for a minute. I mean, we could, I guess. Anyway.
it's up to the board. I'll leave it up to you to make your decisions on what you think is the best way to go with that.
I want to remind you all that you've been paying, because you have the easement on the side of the senior apartments, that the town has been incurring that expense. I'm not sure I understand the difference with the Kirkside driveway going out to the park. Ed, maybe you can explain there's a difference?
That was an original agreement when they made it with for the Civic Center for access out back.
Right, so Western Catskills had said, because we own the driveway and we're granting you the easement, that the town would be responsible for maintenance of that to access the ball fields out back. Am I correct?
I think it's to get to the fuel tank, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the main reason is for access to the back of the building where the fuel
For
tank
the-
is.
Okay,
That and garbage for the
And
senior
garbage
meals.
for the senior meals, yeah.
okay.
So I will say this, and I know we've talked about it a little bit before. I do feel that it's important to keep the access all the way to the barns open in the winter, only because, and as Macker can attest, it's one of the only spots on Main Street that we can get a fire truck to the river in the event we have a major fire on Main Street. And that's one of the reasons I've always felt strongly that that should remain open
Yeah, I agree with
during,
that.
during snowstorms times. So,
And it only, it doesn't go all the way to that back bridge where someone can drive.
no,
That's not.
no, it's just,
No, it's
it's
just-
between the north and south barn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cause when we were getting rid of the tree,
that's only because,
we were using wheelbarrows.
that's only because that way if we ever
Don't you
needed,
know good tree removal?
we can get a fire truck down there and we have a spot we can put it in the river.
So what is wrong if, I mean, I didn't realize that Nikki was plowing that all the, what is wrong if we paid half the bill? I mean, he has been plowing our piece of land for 3 years now.
Been plowing along there.
I know, but I mean, I'm assuming before that we got billed. I mean, if he's been plowing something that we should have been paying for, I would probably say we owe somebody.
I think over the years, Kirkside took care of it, your dad took care of it, whoever.
I can't hear you, Macker. Please speak up.
I'm talking to Mike for a second, relax.
Well, you're in a public hearing, so you're in a public meeting, so I can't hear you. Please speak up.
I believe, I have no problem with the town, taking care of this, but I believe prior to that, Kirkside took care of it, whoever took care of it, whether it was Tom took care of it, Gordy took care of it, I was always under the assumption the town did take care of it, one way or another, when Mark took it, when Mark took it over. It was something I wasn't aware of.
Well, I know it's been plowed long before Mark took over the responsibility for the Kirkside buildings. It was always plowed by somebody, and I'm not sure who it was, but.
Well, that was Kirkside, as I said, it was either
Yeah.
Kirkside, Tom took care of it, Gordy took care of it, Nikki took care of it, whoever, it was always plowed. But now, Nikki's charging the Mark project for it.
Well, Nikki was charging Kirkside too.
We got a bill for that too?
No, but I'm just saying, this has been an ongoing misunderstanding.
Why are we getting a bill from Kirkside and then Mark?
You're not getting a bill, Macker. We're having a discussion.
No, Peg,
We are getting a bill.
Diane just said that we do get a bill from Nikki for Kirkside every month or whenever he plows it.
So why did he tell me that his bill includes going out to the barns? His bill to us, because we get a bill every month. We get a bill every time he plows it.
Okay, well, sounds like there's some discrepancies. Let's table this for right now and find out exactly who's getting
Yeah,
billed
I
for
guess
what,
they're
and we'll move on here.
Somebody double.
Yeah.
Or is it
Okay.
somewhere else that Nikki's plowing?
So, I'm not sure either. I've spoken to Nick about it too, and maybe I'm unclear as to what he was talking about, but if Diane says we're getting a bill for Kirkside, then I agree with you. I'm not.
Yeah, if we're getting a bill for Kirkside, I want to, I'm just as curious.
We do got charged $375 this month.
And I think what he's charging is from the circle, he charges from the circle back to the barn. He charges the Mark project
You're
for the
right,
circle.
something abstract.
He
Pretty sure
told
that's
me,
what he charges.
he told me that our bill is for the circle and back to the barns.
Okay, well, at this point.
I'm
let's
just saying,
table
so
this.
we need to look
All right.
into this further.
Let's table this and move on until we can figure out what Nick is actually charging. us for.
Yeah, 'cause I know.
We do have it on our resolution for this
And I
time as
know
well,
from
so.
Going,
So, yeah, I'm sorry. It's just trying to balance a budget here, like you guys are too. So,
This,
I want to, I'm sorry, I thought Diane was getting something. I want to thank Dee and Mike and Ed for showing up at the sign unveiling. It was a cold day. We now have a beautiful new sign that includes access to Kirkside Park on it. Mike Martin, you did a beautiful job in the paper. Thank you for being there. We're going to be holding some public information sessions via Zoom and hopefully some in-persons in the spring. But there's also a resolution supporting the project that's needed for grant applications for construction. And I'm hoping that the town can digest that and pass it this evening.
We reviewed the resolution. I know there was some questions from a couple of the board members. I'll let you speak up as to.
Peg, I had one question I wanted to ask you, and I just so that we don't get later on. In the last paragraph, it says that the town supports the Kirkside project and any application submitted by Mark. What do you consider any?
So I think we can word that to any applications applying to the Kirkside Park, to the Kirkside project submitted by the Mark project. That's really, it's a blanket resolution, so I don't have to go back to you every month to say, hey, can you pass another resolution? So I have that to include with the grant applications for construction.
Okay.
Yeah, we just kind of wonder, and then after it says assistant. That's just
I'm sorry, Ed, I didn't hear you.
where for the project for assistance with the.
Right, so I can send an addendum to that, an amendment, saying that it really is about the Mark project applying for assistance with construction to see this project to fruition.
I just think the concern is here, if I can kind of reiterate it, I think the concern is that we don't want the town board to be perceived as funding this project with taxpayer funds. And I think
You are definitely not funding this project with taxpayer
we're
funds.
aware of that, but as I said, I also, with that being said, I understand that many of the grant applications that you're going to do are probably going to require town board support, or at least a buy-in from the town board as far as a resolution, which I understand where that comes from, but that's, I think, just the clarification that we're looking for.
So the clarification is, this is a resolution of support for the project, no different than the one you passed for the New York Main Street program for Roxbury.
Yes, I'm aware.
So it's no different than the resolution you passed where you're not the applicant. It's a resolution of support.
Right.
So does anyone have any concerns with that? Because if there is, now's the time to talk about it.
Everybody's okay with that? Yep. Okay, moving on. What
Also,
else?
I did misspeak, the bill that he brought in, he had told me that he had to change the Kirkside Park, but it's actually the Midrox building.
Because he does plow that as well, yes. Okay, so that bill was for the Midrox building. Okay, all right,
So possibly
all right,
without looking back, then
okay,
chances are he is charging Kirkside.
okay.
Diane, have you ever gotten a bill from Nikki for the park?
I would have to look.
Let's just table this for right now. We'll
Okay.
and get it figured out here, and we'll move on. One last thing with Kirkside Park, you see under new business, well, Peg, while you're still on here, just so you're aware of this, and I think Denise, you are as well. Lindsay is also aware of this. We had been waiting for a release agreement from the contractor that started the Kirkside building and then ended up not being able to finish it, and we had to hire another contractor. We worked out an agreement with them, and we were waiting for the release before we could make that payment. That's on the books for tonight, and the resolution is on there. I just want to make sure that everybody's clear with what that's for.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Moving on here. I don't think we have anything from our health officer. Ann, do we have anything to go over there? Dee, do you have anything more with the short-term rental at this
No, I
point?
sent you and sent everybody the occupancy tax law that we might want to look at to see if we want to take that on for the town law for the short-term rentals.
Yes, I am aware of that. That's going to be on. There's going to be a public hearing on that law at the next county board meeting, which I believe is next week, next Wednesday, the 24th. And they're doing a public hearing about that law, which is, it's a revised short-term rental law, the occupancy tax law that includes some more information on short-term rental and gears it more towards the short-term rental.
So if I wanted to find a draft, I could find that online then, maybe?
Yes, it should be on the county's website. I have a copy I can send to you guys if you want to read it.
So this is an amended law, not the one that we have, that I sent?
No, this was the county's occupancy tax law. They're proposing an amendment to it, which will be brought up on a public hearing next Wednesday at the county's meeting.
Okay.
And it was drafted. They made some changes to the original law, which was put in place many years ago. I think to more align it with the short-term rental interest that we've had in recent years.
Yeah, if you could send that to us, maybe we can look at that.
But yeah, I think that's true. The committee should look at that. I know they've added some more stuff in there about short-term rental information, so.
Yeah.
Okay, with that being said,
I guess I should have brought up before the Little League, brought me their insurance. They, named the Civic Center as on their policy. And they're in there on Saturday. And, the traveling baseball, they're gonna be Thursdays from 6 to 8. And Jason Tompkins from the coalition, the drug coalition, did he ever send a thing for the website for they're having, they canceled the beginning, they're gonna have, something on the 25th
Mhm.
from, he got to you, did he? Yeah.
Yeah, he sent me a poster and all this stuff.
Yeah, from,
I didn't get anything.
no,
No.
I had him, I told him to send it to you too.
I can send you what I got when I get home.
It's gonna be February 25th on a Friday, it's from 12 to 3. And he's gonna have the sheriff's he's gonna do that, drug take back or prescription drugs.
Is that the only one they were doing? That they've done? 'Cause he did send me a poster.
didn't they do one already?
That's
They,
was the
we
one
were,
I was
they were
talking
supposed
about.
to at the beginning of the month,
Oh, and then they canceled.
but
Yeah,
Okay.
it
his,
canceled because of that
Because
storm
of-
coming up.
Okay, all right, yeah, I
the
knew it was.
storm and
Yep. Okay.
outbreak of more, and he canceled it for 3 weeks, I guess it was. So
Okay.
it's been back.
Basically no change to what they sent before, just the date's different, that's all.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna send something to you and Diane, like he did.
No, I'll send it to Diane when I get home.
Yeah, 'cause I got the first one
Uh-huh.
and I put it on the website.
Well,
That
yeah,
was the one you brought up in January.
right, and they were gonna do that, and then, his, I guess, boss or whoever runs decided that when it got close to the time, it was only like a few days. He was real apologetic. I just got told I can't do it, and so, he wanted to change it to the, well, they did change it to the 25th. From 12 to 3, and there also will be a nurse there too with them, like there was the last time. Maybe the first time they were there. Yeah, I forgot to bring that stuff up. I guess that's it,
Okay. All right. I don't think we need a resolution for that. That was already approved before, so. Okay, just wanted to bring up, our water clerk has had to resign from her position. We did put an ad out for new, it was a few weeks ago, we put an ad out. We did receive, probably 4 or 5 applications, I think, right, Diane?
5.
5?
I think so.
And I'd like to call on the personnel committee to review them and set up interviews as soon as we can. Diane has been filling in and doing this job, but she has way more on her plate than she needs. We need to get this resolved pretty quickly. So we do have some applicants, and I feel some of them are quite qualified. So if you guys can get together and look into this, I'm available anytime.
And just verify it for the record as attorney.
Yes.
Yep.
My part of that over to Mike.
Macker's decided that because of some of the applicants, he decided not to be on the committee, and Mike is gonna fill in for him on that, on this particular issue. We talked about the department labor boil inspections. We've already discussed that. They're scheduled and will be happening soon. Okay, we are at the point where we're gonna do discussion from residents. I'm not sure how many we've got here. Jess, have you had any requests to speak yet?
Yes, the first person is Robin Factor.
Okay, and I will caution everybody, we are gonna keep the comments to at least 2 minutes and no longer. We need to get through a lot of resolutions, and it is Valentine's Day, folks. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, hi, thank you for letting me speak. I will be brief. It's been a while and I wanted to inquire about COVID money. How much did the town actually get and how are we planning to use it?
I believe, I don't know the exact number right off the top of my head, but it's being received in 2 different amounts. The first amount, Diane, do you remember it was exactly what the amount was? I think it was 100 and something, 119. You'd have to, don't quote me on that, but we would have to find out exactly the number. But yes, we did receive that, and I believe it's the same
Approximate amount. Is okay.
Yeah, it was approximately, it was a little over 100,000, I believe, this year, and I believe it's set up for the same, for the second installment, which will come, I believe, sometime this summer. As far as uses for the COVID money, we've discussed several different things. I don't think we've finally solved and decided on anything yet. We've talked about some of the highway signs, which I know has been mentioned in the past. We are looking at possibly a donation to both fire departments. I know Roxbury is looking to fund a heart monitor, and I think Grand Gorge has some funding issues that they're looking at, so we're probably looking at a partial donation for the purchase of that to both of the departments. At this point, we have not come up with an exact number of what we are going to be using for those kind of donations. There is no immediate time limit to spend this money. As you heard earlier in the meeting, we have also discussed the possibility of using some of the funds to fund things like our online and our Zoom portion of meetings at our new town hall. We are going to need to make some changes up there to do that. So that is another possibility that we'll be doing. To date, we have received, Diane just gave me the information, to date we have received $117,673,000.
Plus the other 4, so it's 118 total.
Plus another 480.43 for a total of 118,153. I believe that the second installment is going to be similar. I don't know the exact amount.
Are you planning any sort of meeting or follow-up meeting where this will be discussed, your plans for this meeting, this money, how to use it?
We have not at this time. That's a decision that's left with the board at this point. Should we need to make a public hearing about it, we will, but at this point we are not. I should also add that at the county level, I understand from the committee that the county has set up for this American Rescue Plan money. I believe it's towns that received under 1.8 million are not restricted on any of the use that they have. They can virtually use the money for anything that they want. Again, Roxbury is receiving somewhere around 250,000. We are not restricted. That money can be used for virtually anything that the town feels that they need. There is not any real short time limit on how this is going to get spent. So in answer to that, no, we have not made decisions on where all this money is going yet. Obviously.
Ellen, what about the notification system that you and Stephanie were working on? Could that be used for that too?
What's that?
The notification system, like if the water,
Yes, that is another possibility as well, for some ability. I believe that the costs from that, the setup costs from that can also be included in there. Again, the setup cost was not that high. That's more of an operational thing that's going to be put in place. So we have other options. We've talked about it. We have not really made anything public yet as far as what's going to happen. The board has not discussed it as a board yet. But again, there is no exact time limit on when these monies have to be spent. The only requirement that the state has right now is that we do have to, any monies that have been expended between now or between the beginning of this and April, we are required to report that to the state. There is a reporting process that I believe is, the deadline is for April. And that
Will you take into account any of the suggestions that came up at the meetings that we held? I think it was last year, as a matter of fact, with the community.
I think we're always open to suggestions from the community. If people have suggestions on what they think it should be spent on, we will be more than willing to listen.
Yeah, I have that list. We can talk about that.
Oh, okay. And just one
I
other.
mean, that was posted, so we can relook at that as well.
Okay, one other, it seems like it would be good for the town to have a plan, even if they don't have all the money now, as to what they were going to do with that. My other, just one other question, and it has to do with this also, and that's the speed signs that you guys have mentioned purchasing. Is it the kind of sign where it will take a picture of the car and be able to send out a ticket as another revenue driver for the town? And
No.
if not, why not?
The system that we have in place, and to be honest, I'm not so sure that's even legal in New York State. These are all these signs will be on New York State roads, which means whatever we do has to be approved by the state of New York DOT. I don't think, as far as I know, that is allowed by New York State DOT. That requires a whole nother level of approval from what I understand. These signs are, again, just a suggested, please slow down. I'm sure everybody in the world has seen them recently. They're in a lot of towns, and they are effective and they do work. But no, they are not in place to take pictures and hand out tickets. I think that's got to be done at a whole different level when it comes to the legal ramifications of that.
Alan, is it a good idea, as you think, to use these funds to set aside some of them to leverage additional funds from state and federal agencies as the local share? Would that make sense?
Yes, and we've had that conversation. I think that's a very good use of these funds. We can certainly parlay the amounts that we have into much larger grant operations when we go forward with these. So yes.
And does it make sense for the town board to sit with the community and say, all right, let's hear your ideas again? It was almost 2 years ago that we had that meeting out in the park. So maybe it's time for the town to sit and listen in both Grand Gorge and Roxbury, and collectively. Ideas come out of conversation. And I think what's been happening is there's not been any conversation by no fault of anyone. It's just the nature of how we live right now. We're sitting on Zoom right now, and I think, spring is coming. Let's talk.
Well, I think, as I said earlier on when this conversation started, I think the board is open to suggestions from anywhere and anybody, and we will certainly consider anything that comes in. However, that decision will be made by the town board and not by a community group. So we will certainly.
No one said it should be made by anyone else. We're just saying there should be a conversation.
But yes.
So Alan, should we be writing with suggestions to the board now? Or are you planning a meeting?
As I said, we have not formally made any plans of where this is going to be spent at this point. So you're certainly welcome to submit suggestions, and we will take them into account as we look into this. At this point, we have no plans to set up any definite uses of this money, and I think it's kind of being looked at much similar to what the funds were for the what do I want to say? The Good Neighbor Fund that was put in place many years ago by the city of New York. That fund has been used a lot of times and borrowed against and funded many projects in town. And this is kind of similar to that, at least in my mind anyway. And I think there'll be a lot of opportunities to use this money.
So can I just ask though, when is this discussed or decided even between the board? Because it's not a private conversation, right? Or is it?
Whenever we've had discussions about spending money, it has to be done in a public meeting, as you well know. With that being said, I think it's time to move on to other questions. But yes, anything that's discussed about where this money goes will certainly be done in a public forum.
Okay, thank you.
Behind closed doors, as you know.
Thank you.
Alan, the next person that wanted to speak is Judith McGuire.
What a surprise.
How are you?
Hi, Robin. I would go after each other. Happy Valentine's Day. I also want to request respectfully that some of the money does get given to the fire departments for their needs, especially, the new cardiac monitor. I know in the chats that was also mentioned by another community member. I don't know if Jessica ever reads the chat to the board because I don't know if they can see it. But I think that would be a great use of the money. And we did have those meetings to get feedback from the community. And now it seems that it doesn't need to be around COVID, sort of something that was impacted by COVID. You can use the money for anything.
That's the understanding that I've received. Maybe Lindsay can expand on that a little bit, but that's what I've understood from the last few meetings I've had with the county.
Lindsay?
Yes, that's correct. There aren't going to be restrictions, on towns that are receiving under the amount that Alan mentioned. The rule was just revised. At first, everything was gonna have to fit into one of 4 categories, but now they've revised it to kind of remove the categories and allow the towns to use the funding as they see fit.
Okay. Yeah, because like the speeding signs, it's like we had speeding before COVID. It's been discussed in town board meetings for many years, and even the idea around the speeding signs have been brought up. So to only say, oh, it's because of all the new people that we have speeding. We've always had speeding, so I just wasn't sure how that tied into the having to be around COVID. And the last thing, which I know you're gonna hate this, Alan, but I had to go to town hall to do something recently, and I tried to walk from the library parking lot past the buildings until you get to the town hall, and literally 2 people stopped to ask me if I needed help, because I guess I looked so like such an old lady trying to walk on the ice. And what can we come up with a committee or something to look into what the options are? I know it's been this way for so many years, but it's I literally couldn't walk, and then I went in the street, and then someone drove by and I got all splashed, and I was like, we have to come up with a solution for people to be able to walk on the street. I mean on the sidewalks in winter. I don't know whether that's finding people who don't shovel or coming up with some kind of community fund that hires somebody to do it, but it's so treacherous. And I'm not that elderly, and I feel really bad for people who are. I know you this topic.
If I
don't
can.
disagree with you that it's a problem. We
So
talked about this at length. Lindsay, I do have one thing I just wanted to throw out there, and maybe you, I know you kind of got talked about, we got talked about this a lot at the last meeting, and I don't want to belabor the point. But one question that I did have come up is, we right now, as far as anybody can find, don't have any kind of a sidewalk ordinance that requires people to maintain
Yes, we
their
do.
sidewalks, other than what requirements they would have as property owners. If we were to develop a local law, would we be able to do that only for people that had sidewalks on their property, or would that have to be a local law for anybody without a sidewalk district, or would we have to still do a sidewalk district and then make that as a law for that district?
Yeah, you would have to make a special improvement district for sidewalk maintenance. So it would affect those property owners that have the sidewalks that would be included in the district, and they would be footing the bill for that.
Okay, because I know another community that I'm familiar with up in the Adirondacks. They have, this is actually an incorporated village, but
That's the difference.
But they
Sorry.
do have an ordinance on the books that says that residents are required to maintain their sidewalks or clear their sidewalks of snow and ice. And if they don't do it within, I believe it's 48 hours, that the town or the village will come in and do it and charge them for it. I don't know if that's an opportunity, something we can do in Roxbury or not.
I don't think so. I did do some research on this back when back when the conversation started, once I was able to join it. And that did not appear to be an option for us as a town. Instead, the special improvement district is the way to go. So, Judith, I think we talked about this at the last meeting. The way to get that ball rolling is to get a petition for a special improvement district. So that is something that community members can come together and put together for the town board's review.
Okay, with that being said, do we have any other people that want to speak? Jess?
Sorry,
So
no, I don't
only
see.
thing on Bridge Street, when Old Mill is parking on both sides, it should not happen. So I know you have the signs coming, and I know they're going to the county, but at the end of the day, it's a fucking hazard. It is coming to something that when it comes to my house back or any resident on the back street, it's a problem. I know you have the signs coming. I know it's passed by the town board, but it's come to some things that I stopped there at the old mill and said something to them. They came out, moved the cars. Williamson was there and did it. And I'm not trying to start problems, but it's just, there's at one point you have to take it back a little bit and look at it. There is something there that is not okay. And I apologize for coming at you guys this way. All of you on the board, you do great, but there's that.
Well, I think the problem is we got to get signs put up because it's been approved by the board and the county's agreed to it, and we don't have the signs there yet. And we talked about this earlier tonight.
The signs can be there. Listen, I agree. I love you all for doing it. The signs can be there, but unless it's enforced, there's signs all over the town, but unless it's enforced, it's not going to do anything. And I know you guys will do it. But it has to be enforced.
We gotta get the signs up first, and we can enforce it. So that's
Yeah,
the
let us
problem.
get the signs up first and then see what happens.
Yeah, let's start with getting the signs up, which I already have a note to contact the county and find out why they're not up yet or whether they've got them.
Well, and we can start with the signs. And I'm not trying to be a butt. I'm not trying to be an ass. I'm literally being here. Everyone's sitting there in that fucking chair. I give you props, but let's put up the signs. That's great. But unless they're enforced, it's not going to go anywhere unless it's enforced. And I love you all. And I've been there, but I just, unless it's enforced, it's not going to happen.
We will do our best. Also, also Riley, I would appreciate you keep the language down just a little bit. This is a public meeting and it's being recorded for all eternity. So,
Okay.
with all due respects, I would appreciate you don't do that. Thank you. With that being said, are there any other discussions from residents?
I don't see anybody else requesting.
Okay, then we will move on to resolutions, and this portion of the meeting will be closed. So, moving on. First is a resolution for town clerk monthly report, supervisor's monthly report, assessor's monthly report, building inspector's monthly report, water district monthly report, justice court report, dog control monthly report, which we did receive, tax collector's monthly report, and our parks department's monthly report. Can I have a resolution for all of those?
I make the resolution.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next one, we had a list of prepaid bills for capital projects. Can we have a resolution to pass those?
I think that.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Next is a resolution to appoint a board of assessment review. We do have one person who has been recommended by the tax assessor's office, Joseph Resch, and he has agreed to do it. If that's acceptable to everybody, can I have a resolution for that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Need a resolution to advertise for bids for highway fuel.
I'll make it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we also have a resolution for bids for highway material hauling. This is a standard thing we do every year.
I'll make it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I believe that the highway monies is being tabled. We did not get that yet, correct? We haven't gotten the paperwork for the resolution for highway monies. Okay. We need a resolution for a prepay for camera construction. This was the first installment for the work on the town hall for $15,000.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we have a resolution for the Kirkside kitchen use agreement. We discussed it briefly, but I believe everybody's reviewed it, including the attorneys, and everybody's happy with it.
Make the motion.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and next one, a resolution supporting the Kirkside project, Mark project, that we discussed briefly or previously with the suggestions that were made by the board. I believe Peggy is going to give us a revised resolution, but with that being said, is this acceptable to the board?
I'll make the resolution with the
changes? Okay. And a second?
Second.
Second by Ed. All in favor?
Yep.
Aye. Okay, and we need to amend our town board meeting notice to reflect video conferencing available, which we have been doing right along, but we need a resolution to approve that.
I'll make the motion.
And have a second, Ed? Okay. We have a resolution discussing Depot Street and the road. I don't think that we have that resolved yet.
Bill said he's waiting here for the attorney.
He's still working on that with the attorneys. We have a resolution to accept the resignation of Chrislyn Shute with our regrets. She did a great job while she was there. Ed?
Yes.
Was that second?
I'll second it.
Mike, okay. We have a resolution to reappoint Verna Dietrich, dog control officer from 2014-22 to 12/31/22.
I'll make the motion.
Yep, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we are tabling the water clerk until we find somebody, and the board is going to be reviewing applications. Okay, proposal for the cameras at the town hall. The cost of $2,076. I'm not sure that that's correct. It may be a little less than that. If the board is okay with that, we aren't gonna be installing them right away, so if you wanna table it and look into it more, we can, but
We got a solid quote on that first.
yeah, there may be a couple changes there. That seemed a little high.
Let's table it.
And the next one is the quote from Country Home for reactivating and making changes to the alarm system as required. Basically what they're doing there is checking all the sensors and hooking up a new control panel and stuff like that.
I'll make
Everything's
a
already.
resolution.
Second,
I'll second, go ahead.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we've got a resolution for JB's line cleaning for a proposal for maintenance on Roxbury sewer pump HC1 for $1,750. We discussed that earlier. Make a resolution.
Ed Becker.
Ed?
I'll second it.
Mike, okay. We have another resolution for JB's line cleaning and for a proposal for Roxbury sewer grinder pumps and rail systems. The cost is $11,086, and this is to be paid for out of sewer contingency funds for this Roxbury sewer system. Covers.
When Kobe was talking about the generator thing,
Yes,
Air compressor.
was that Roxbury sewer also?
no, actually, I had a discussion with him about, we have the generator at the highway garage, plus we have a generator at the new town hall. And I had asked him to contact, the same company that does the generator service for us on the sewer system. But that would not be through the, we're trying to get a proposal out of them to service our generators for the town hall and the highway garage.
Okay, so when he was talking before, okay, so this one is for Roxbury sewer for the grinder pump.
Yes,
And then
yes.
it's duplex NEMA 4 with generator acceptable.
Right.
Acceptable.
Right. And the next one we had with him that we discussed was the equipment proposal for the compressor service at Denver Sewer. We talked about that. Macker, you said you're comfortable with
Yeah, I'll make that
cost.
resolution.
Well,
All right.
somebody's gotta do the Roxbury sewer grinder pump.
So we just talked, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't do a resolution, did we? Okay. I need a resolution for those grinder pumps
I'll make the motion.
at the 11,000. Again, that comes out of town's contingency funds. Mike's resolution.
Second.
And Macker, okay. Okay, we discussed this next one earlier as well. Evergreen Mountain Construction request.
Now you need to do the air compressor.
Oh, we did, didn't we? I thought we did. Now you got me confused. This happens every month.
We got all messed up.
You got me all messed up. I was doing good. Right until the last 5, I was doing really good.
I just got one question about this
Mac-
air
Macker did
compressor.
Your
And I'm
compressor?
taking your advice here, cause you know a lot more than I. What's a brand new compressor cost?
Probably that size.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably about $5 or $6 grand.
okay.
That's a big
Yep.
ass compressor.
Yeah, it's probably more than that, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that's what I asked, because I thought it was first, and I remembered I'd only seen it once in my life.
Yeah, it's a big compressor, because that's what's all the aeration for the plant down there is what it is.
Okay.
Continuous run compressors.
Okay, so we still need we need that resolution then.
All right.
Mike, you making it?
I'll make the motion, yeah.
Second? Second? Hacker?
Yep.
Okay. Next one we discussed earlier, and I think we're gonna table that for further discussion,
I think so.
with the contractor. Justice Court audit for the year 2020, filed with the New York system. We did receive the audit. It was done by Mozart's and Manzanero. Need a resolution to accept that.
I'll make it.
And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Right.
And we discussed and basically did a resolution on the mask mandate for town buildings. Everybody's okay with that? We passed that earlier, so. Okay. A couple things for discussion. You've all seen the email from Kobe about this Denver sewer, paint getting into the sewer plant. I don't know really what. Chris, I see you're still on. Maybe you can talk to us a little bit about this. I saw the email from Kobe, but I'm not sure what we can do about it.
Sure, you know, I don't know what like I said, that's where we're at. We don't know what to do. We talked to this guy. We told him to please stop because it is gonna mess with our biology. Our treatment there is microbiology, and when we get latex, a huge load of latex paint, it is going to screw with that biology, and that is going to affect treatment, and it's going to affect our testing. We could, you know, we don't really know what the long-term effect is going to be on the biology, so that's why we want to try and stop it now. And we're at a loss. We've told this guy to please stop. We've showed him pictures of what his effect is, and it's still happening. So
Possibly this is something we need to discuss with the homeowners association that Roxbury run, and possibly with the DEP.
possibly, but I believe Wendy's on vacation. Wendy's not in. She's in Florida right now. She won't be back for I don't know how long. So.
All right. Well, we can get a hold of Chris, the new president, and talk with him about it.
Okay.
And I think also the other suggestion is I would contact DEP, that whoever manages the plant, and say this is the problem we're having. There's probably some teeth in their laws as far as pollution. If this is not something that legally should be in a septic system, they should be able to find the person.
Correct. Well, that's an option too. Okay.
So I would suggest we get a hold of Tom Stalter or whoever it is of DEP that we deal with for the plant.
Okay, we can do that.
Walter Cavello, doesn't he do the inspections?
Cavello? Yeah.
Who does the inspections there? That's who you should
Yeah,
do.
probably whoever does your inspections, Chris. They're the ones, it's either them or the DEC that are gonna be the ones that are gonna give you a hard time if your chemicals are off, so.
Correct. We can talk to Dennis Cavello and see what he says too.
I mean,
Okay.
maybe they can approach this homeowner directly if you know directly where it's coming from. It seems like they would have some recourse to find them or do something with them.
Okay. Thank you.
And we had an issue with the Botini's highway bid diesel price. Diane, you've been working on that. I don't know. The board has looked at all that. I don't think there's really anything for resolution other than we're working through it. The board has received the water project costs updates to date. We talked about the HERO Act. I think as far as the Kirkside light pole damage, I think that Mike was looking into some pricing on that. I'm not sure where that stands at this point, Mike.
No, we haven't got much farther.
All right.
I can fill you in on some of that. Mike Hinckley also gave me, he stopped today. He's working on another estimate to match the blizzard estimate, and Michael Hines and I have been in conversation about this as well.
And I don't think there's much new on this other sewer repair bill that we're dealing with either at this point. So. Okay, moving forward, I guess we're at the point where we can pay the bills unless anybody has anything else for the board.
Can I just ask a question? What about the kitchen contract? Are we gonna approve that, or did we already talk about that?
Where
What?
were you? I said, where were you? We passed
I
it.
couldn't, you can't hear.
Peg also wanted a resolution.
Sorry.
David to authorize you to sign the, Web3 design contract. That's what she said earlier.
Yeah, okay, I thought we can do another resolution to authorize me to sign it. Somebody would like to.
This is specifically for you to authorizing you to sign it.
Okay.
Diane, did you ever get the, what you needed from Peg, the 3? Weren't we looking for the web design? We made the 3.
I haven't gotten anything else to put in proposals.
Peg, did you happen to hear that? Diane still needs the 3 bid proposals for the web design.
She just walked away from the
Okay.
Zoom.
I mean, were there more than 3 proposals that were submitted?
There was a lot.
I need all of them.
There was a lot of them that
That's
were
part of our
submitted.
records.
Okay. All right, we'll make a note of that.
And I will check, I made, well, I'll let you vote on this first.
Okay, so I need a resolution, I need a second.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And as I said before, with that Mickey Finch bill, I may have been thinking about, I'll look, but I may have been thinking about, he does our weed eating and that there.
Yeah, I know. I recall seeing previous times that I've done the audits,
Yeah.
they're on there.
So, I don't know about the snow plow. But this bill that I just got was for the new town hall. And also, just so you know, with this bill, then that will be changed on the abstract from park to 1620.4, which is buildings. So I'll make that change.
And who did the bills this month?
And I,
All right, good.
I'd make the motion.
I'll second it.
Questions on any of the bills?
Other than,
And also, since you did not approve the cameras, country home, that will have to be removed from the abstract too. So we may want that in the resolution for the abstract.
Or can we approve it pending review with Country Home? Because I just think the pricing is a little off.
Yeah, but it's on the abstract.
So we'd have to change, okay. Okay, well, there's no rush. We can table it till next month and just take it off the abstract.
So I'm changing the Finch from 7110 to 1620.
Okay, with those changes, can we get a resolution to pay the bills?
Resolution. I thought I did.
yeah,
Ed seconded it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, bills are paid. Nothing else, a resolution to go home.
like that too.
I'll second it.
Okay. We're done. Thank you, everyone.